Stream's on. Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City of Findlay City Planning Commission for February 13th, 2025. My name is Rob Martin, the Service Safety Director. I am running this meeting today because the chair, Mayor Mirren, is at another function that could not be rescheduled. So with that, Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Okay, Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Trombley.
Here.
Ms. Schroeder.
Here.
Mr. Klinger.
Here.
All right. And if anyone in the audience is here going to have any comments about anything on the agenda today, would you please stand and be sworn in?
Okay. Do you affirm that all the testimony and evidence you're about to give in a case before this commission this day will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and will conform to the facts of the case and the rules of this commission? This you affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury. Please say I do.
All right. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the minutes from January 9th Planning Commission. And does anyone have any edits or comments regarding those?
Saw none. I'll motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Moving on. We have one old item. The application for alley vacation AV06 2024. It's been tabled. Would like to make a motion to untable that this morning.
I'll make that motion.
I'll-
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. So that is now part of the agenda today. So application for alley vacation AV06 2024 filed by Hancock County Commissioners to vacate the eastern 200 linear feet of the east-west alley between South Croy, should be Corey. Croy's over on the east side. Corey Street and the north-south alley between West Main Cross and Crawford Street. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Joe Johnson, appearing on behalf of the county. Obviously, you have untabled this, so this matter was first before this board, I believe, in November, at which point it was tabled, referred to the traffic control board, and
Is your mic on?
sounds like it
Is, okay.
now it is. Okay.
There you go. Good call.
That has gone through a couple of hearings in the Traffic Control Board, did result in some sort of suggestion as to how this might be dealt with. I am here, first of all, because we are on the agenda, but we've also heard that there may be a possibility of changes to Corey Street. Our suggestion would be for the board, this board, to consider tabling this again with those pending possibilities because of the interrelationship between the two, if there in fact is some thought of changes on Corey, sorry.
So part of the conversation at the Traffic Commission was to maintain the alleyway, but due to what the use of between the jail and the judicial building would be to have a movable gate
Right.
on the west side of the alleyway to create that sense of security for moving inmates and whoever needed to go from point A to point B. But then we would actually, when it wasn't in that type of use, remain open for access for safety service individuals, regardless if it's from the SO or the Findlay Police, or anybody for that matter. With that, we have had it, since the Traffic Commission had a discussion between different agencies about what it would look like if we limited access on Corey between Crawford and West Main Cross. That is still being discussed. I believe we were going to look at trialing it for a period of time. I'm still not convinced that vacating that alley would make sense because of the uncertainty of what buildings are around it and what might happen in the future. It's easier to maintain it the way it is rather than vacate it and limit access rather than vacating it for the ability to maintain it. As not to mention the utilities under it and around it and the use for safety services to continue to maintain it regardless of what agency they're from. And I think that should hold true regardless of what happens with access on Corey between Crawford and West Main Cross. Engineering, do you have any any input on that?
Yeah, no, I would kind of agree. If, say, Corey Street is shut down for public access of some sort, then that automatically is going to put that whole area, all those alleys within that area, it's going to limit the access for them into the public, which then your guys' your gate going across would almost could be a permanent during the day instead of during certain restricted times like what we talked in traffic commission. It would almost, you could keep it closed throughout the whole day. But I don't think any of that, if that does happen, I don't think vacating any of those would be still conducive, because at any time if that could go right back to say the police office move. I'm not saying they're moving, but say they move, then Corey Street would be opened back up again to the public, where then we would still lose that access. So I think it would just change on the timing of your guys' gate for that. But, with those, we're kind of having a temporary trial for that. Or if we do, would you guys, and Jake, kind of maybe walk me through that? What if you guys withdrew your alley vacation for now, and then say it did go through and it is a permanent, then at that time you could discuss if you want to bring this topic back instead of keeping it tabled for 5-6 months or whatever it is. If you just withdrew it, and then you could always, because if we go through and deny it, then you're pretty much locked out of it. If you withdraw it, then you guys could come back at a later date, if in a couple years even, and if this does come permanent, then you could do it that way.
We certainly weren't aware of what the time frame was on any of this.
Right.
So,
Right.
I understand your suggestion. I mostly wanted to have this type of discussion and just consider what the options might be. If you're suggesting that the best option is to withdraw it, I think maybe that's what we do, given the time frame involved.
Based on the previous conversations with Traffic Commission and even the conversations with the multi-agencies about Corey, I was still in favor of denying this, knowing that we had a solution to the original request. But if, with the uncertainty of Corey moving forward, if withdrawing would present the opportunity to bring it back in the future based on what the outcome of that is, I'm fine with that.
It sounds like the best thing to do.
Okay.
And
And then
therefore we
obviously,
withdraw.
obviously the communication between the county officials and the safety services and whatnot, they'll all be involved in that conversation. So
Excellent.
we'll know when that time is right to revisit it.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to new items. Application for site plan review, SP 02-2025 for the proposed building expansion of Belt Home Services at 350 Emma Street. CPC staff comments. Sorry. Need to cue you
Just
up.
trying to turn to my page. Okay, so CPC staff comments, general information. This request is located on the west side of Emma Street at the north side of the intersection with Mary Street. It's zoned C2 general commercial, and it's surrounded by a mix of C2 general commercial district and I-1 light industrial to the south and east. It's not located within a 100-year floodplain. Staff analysis, the applicant's requesting to construct an expansion to the existing building on site. This would include a 1,692 square foot shop addition to the north of the building and a 2,003 square foot office addition on the east side of the building. The proposed elevation shows that they're under the height requirement for C2 and they meet the architectural standards for the code. Sorry, I'm trying to drive and talk at the same time here. So these are the elevations that were submitted. Site plan. The office expansion would stretch further south than the existing building towards Mary Street and be 20 feet from the property line. This still meets the street side yard setback of 15 feet. There would be no changes to the existing pavement on site. Since the CPC meeting for the special review, they have included an updating striping plan. This features parking spaces for 62 parking spaces provided on site. And they have also included foundation plantings on the north side of the expansion that will remove a section of asphalt and concrete from the northeast corner to install landscaping and a tree. Highlighted in that corner there. They've also included a row of 5 trees along the north parking lot. And that was something that we brought up in the special review to help break up the site from the motel to the north. They have also identified where they will be storing their refuse units. They are showing a dumpster enclosure on the west side of the site in that southwest corner. That will meet the enclosure standards. The recycling units on the south side of the site are encroaching on that street side yard setback. So either they need to shift them up a few feet to get out of that setback, or they need to request a variance on those. Eric also mentioned that I don't know if I have a picture of them. So this is the recycling storage.
That's right.
Is it it's kind of looks like a roll-off dumpster almost.
It's like a storage container.
Yeah. There was discussion on whether or not those were permitted for refuse storage. So potentially they might need a variance for that as well. Eric is shaking his head to confirm. So staff recommendation, CPC staff recommends approval of the application for site plan review SP-02-2025 for the proposed building expansion of Bell's Home Service at 350 Emma Street with the following conditions. Receive variances for the location of the dumpster enclosure and the required street side yard setback, and potentially for the recycling enclosure unit. I
Engineering?
think that's how I would say.
Pretty easy on my end. There's no water service that's being extended. Sanitary services being extended. Since this is on previously it was all hard pavement. They don't have any detention. So really the only thing I would need from you guys is the curb cut permit prior to starting that.
We've already got that.
Fire prevention?
Overall, no issues. Just make sure you get the permits you need for construction.
Okay. The recommendation in front of us is CPC. Staff recommends approval of the application for site plan review SP-02-2025 for the proposed building expansion of Belts Home Service at 350 Emma Street with the following conditions. Receive the variance for the location of recycling enclosure in the required street side yard setback, and as well as including the recycling enclosure. Hi.
We're looking at relocating the storage containers and possibly the dumpsters. I'm working with AEP Legal right now with the easement that they have on that west side, and so we're playing around with different locations that we could make everybody happy.
Comments from the commission?
How big is your easement on the west side there?
30 feet, I believe.
Oh, so it goes into the parking area then?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. But those would be a movable item. Is that something that they would permit then?
It's just it feels like it's a long process because of the legal wording and what we really want to do. So that's
Okay.
just where I'm at with it.
Okay. I had a couple of questions for you, Brian. How many company vehicles do you have?
Well, it depends. Company vehicles, we have 22, I think.
Okay, and then all the employees come with their car to pick up the company vehicle then for the
Some
most
do,
part?
some don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't need that much parking on site probably, is
Well,
what I'm guessing.
if we have all of the vehicles parked there, if we have a big company meeting and we have all of the employees there and And with our growth plans, yeah, we'll need all of those.
Well, yeah, okay. I was gonna say, if you reduce the parking, you could reduce the handicap too. Possibly. Also, something that's not pertinent to this commission, but, you've got handicap parking. I would be and it's been a lot of years since I've been in tune with this, but I would assume that you're gonna have to have handicapped restrooms in the building. So that would be something to follow up on.
You showed on your elevations, the new blue coloring. Is that just gonna be on the addition, or is that gonna be, are you gonna repaint the entire outside of the building?
It won't be blue on the back, the existing building, but that will get a repaint.
Okay, so
repaint
this
job.
the blue is just gonna be on this part of the addition?
Yeah, on the addition, yep.
On your elevations too, Brian, I see that you got a door into that addition onto the north side.
Mm-hmm.
But then your landscape plan doesn't show any access to that door. Is that, so is one going away?
No, that door will be there.
Yeah, the landscaping inside, and grass and stuff goes all the way up, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, we just threw that in because we knew that we didn't want, the city didn't want foundational, or they wanted, what do you call it, foundational landscaping. So they don't want asphalt right up to the foundation.
Okay.
So we added that in at the last minute.
Okay. Are you needing to cut some access in between the addition and the new building then too?
No.
Okay. So you only have just a one door in and out of
We
that?
may have one on the facing the east, and then we're playing around with maybe toward the north side, northwest side.
Okay.
Yeah, like up
But
there.
then you will have a sidewalk or something going to those doors?
Yeah, yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yes.
I know it sounds like you're planning on potentially moving the recycling storage containers, I guess for what it's worth. It's certainly the BZA's decision, but I wouldn't have a problem with where they're located today. I think that makes a lot of sense as long as you're able to get a truck back there to remove the refuse, which I'm sure you've done your homework on.
Mm-hmm.
Did have a question about your existing approach off Emma Street.
Yes.
See, that's remaining at about 76 feet. I'd like to see you guys reduce that to current code.
So I've experimented with that, put some lines and everything on reducing that. And with the parking spaces that are gonna be right up front, it's really tight, trying to maneuver around there. And then we've also talked with a couple of our vendors about access, if they do bring a larger truck or a semi-truck through, and how they would get in and out. And so reducing that, the northern part of there, yeah, right there, if we reduce that, it's just a lot of twisting and turning. Not saying it can't be done, I'm just saying that that's what we played with since the last meeting.
What about moving the south one further north? I mean, it seems you got 24 feet, which should be enough to back up, in the handicap spots and then make your way to the exit.
That might be a better possibility. I didn't play around with it on that side.
Okay. But you're not planning on having any semi-truck storage or anything like
Oh,
that?
no.
Okay.
Just deliveries.
Just deliveries?
Yep.
Okay. Yep, makes sense. Yes, that would be one condition I'd like to put on it if the commission is agreeable to that.
That we reduce the front
Meet
access.
current code, yeah, for the,
What would the current code be? Is it like 30 foot?
It's 24 drop to drop. But can we instead of putting in current code, just work with engineering department? Because I don't know where catch basins are, where water meters are, or anything like that. I don't want to reduce it now. They're driving over water meters or something like that. So I'm fine with working with them on reducing it to make it fit that area.
so I didn't realize it was 24 feet?
24 from drop to drop. That's our code. We do, I mean, if we have a business or something like this, we go outside of it, but it's kind of my purview to approve those or not. So if you want to say, work with engineering to approve, to reduce it to what engineering agrees with, I see what you're trying to accomplish on that, but I just want to make sure, if there's a curb basin or something that's right there, I don't want to reduce it there and then put the curb basin in a bad spot.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is there a reason too? You got and this is more for engineering here. You've got the right of way kind of stair steps down. Is there a desire for additional right of way now as to potentially expand them in the future?
I don't foresee that. I think the only reason why that's kind of stair stepped out is just north of that is that turn. So they probably acquired additional right of way within that area.
Okay.
For that, if they are needing any, kind of change that, but I don't see Emma Street blowing up anytime soon in development.
All the business is bringing in.
So, yeah, I mean that's the only thing. I think they had that right away step back for clearance or site distances.
I don't have any other comments.
Anybody here to speak for or against this? Okay.
A motion to approve with the conditions that's listed. Oh, let me back up a little bit. Are we taking then the variance out of that, or are you?
Yes.
Okay, so we won't go for a variance on the.
If we go
storage
back to that, then I'll have to go through the variance process. But right now, we're looking at relocating them, just like I said, dealing with AEP and the easement.
Okay.
So just the variance for the,
I'll work that out internally.
what's that?
I'll work that out internally for him.
Okay.
So
So we wouldn't have any conditions on this, would we? Because we're.
Working with engineers.
Still working
working
with
with
the engineer.
Introduce the
Engineering and zoning to meet
Okay. A motion to approve with a condition of working with engineering and zoning on the container storage and the width of the access.
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you.
Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Merton,
Aye?
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 2, application for conditional use CU 02-2025 submitted by Brad Brogan to construct a duplex at 1219 Fox Street. CPC staff comments.
Just to note, Mr. Brogan lives out of town, and unfortunately, he had made the trip up for last week, and so
Bad time.
he was unavailable to be here in person today. So we've talked with him about this a fair amount, so he's pretty caught up on what our staff comments were, and so I'll just go through them. So the site's located on the on the east side of Fox Street, just north of the intersection with Davis Street. It is zoned R3, small lot residential. It's in an area that's a mix of the R4 duplex and triplex and R3 small lot residential. It's not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the City of Findlay land use map has the property listed as small lot residential. Parcel history. So the site was previously 2 small lots, and they were listed as 1219 Fox Street and 1219.5 Fox Street. 1219 Fox Street has been demolished and removed from the site in 2021. Mr. Brogan recently purchased the lots and will be combining them into a single lot. I believe he has a picture. This is what the house at 1219.5 looks like at the moment. Staff analysis. The applicant has indicated that he would like to construct a duplex on the lot. He owns both the properties directly to the south, which you can see in the aerial. Scroll back to it. So Mr. Brogan owns these 2 to the south, as well as this one and these 2 down the street. So he owns the 2 properties directly to the south of the property. So constructing an additional duplex would continue this line of duplexes all the way to the east-west alley between Davis Street and Swing Avenue. The duplex would meet the setback requirements of the R3 district. They have provided a parking lot in the rear that will tie into the flow of the properties to the south. This will provide 6 parking spaces for the tenants and visitors. Mr. Brogan submitted elevations, and although they don't match exactly with what the 2 to the south are, they have the same footprint and match kind of the position on the site of those 2 current ones. There is an unimproved alley, east-west alley north of these properties. You can kind of see on the aerial, kind of is broken up and kind of peters out. One condition staff would recommend is that the alleyway be paved from Fox Street to the rear of Mr. Brogan's properties to allow access. He also owns 632, 626, and 622 Davis Street, and all these all these properties have this rear parking lot on the property. So staff would just recommend, if he wants to connect all the way over to this parking lot, that he continue paving it all the way to that property. In terms of pedestrian access, the sidewalk on this property is set back several feet from the layout of the neighbors on either side. So staff would just have a recommendation that he pop that out to match the existing sidewalk pattern. So staff recommendation, CPC staff recommends approval of the application for conditional use C2-2025 submitted by Brad Rogan to construct a duplex at 1219 Fox Street with the following conditions. Pave the east-west alley from Fox Street to the rear of his properties, and match the sidewalk with the existing layout of the neighborhood.
When you said properties,
Uh,
so how far back did you?
I guess
you recommending to pave it?
I kind of left that. It's written as a property. If he would like to extend it all the way to all of his properties, I kind of left that kind of ambiguous. So however far he wants to extend it, he should pave it.
How far does that alley go down?
It kind of peters out about right here.
I mean, the actual
Oh,
alleyway.
It goes all the way down to
Unimproved.
Unimproved.
Wing,
Okay.
or
So it does go all the way through to the next
yeah,
street.
yeah. But there's no improvement on it.
Nothing,
Yeah, it's just a grass
Yeah.
strip.
So engineering,
No additional comments. We'll work with the property owner on the sidewalk and stuff.
fire prevention.
No comment.
Okay, so the recommendation has been stated by Jacob, so I don't have to necessarily restate it. So commission, comments?
The only thing I would like to state is the application is for conditional use of a duplex. The elevations and plans that they show would indicate maybe a triplex or fourplex. I just want to make since it's a conditional use, it would restrict that to a duplex, correct?
Yeah, he's only building a duplex there. It just has
Okay.
multiple bedrooms.
Okay.
So it looks like there's, like you were saying, there's second floor access.
Yeah.
Two-story, so it's,
Two-story access. Down
Yeah. It matches up with what's existing.
Yeah.
from a non-technical perspective, I love this as an infill opportunity. We need housing. He has proven in the other adjacent properties, he does good work. So I'm in favor of this, but obviously if there's technical comments from our architects and engineers, welcome those.
Yeah, I generally agree with that too, just with the, I mean, if you look at the zoning around it, it's all R4 zoning around it.
Yeah.
And so this makes a lot of sense. So is the intent of the applicant to do cross-access with the property to the south? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he'll record on his deeds that way in case he sells them that they're still cross access.
Okay.
Jacob, when you spoke with the property owner, did he have any issues with the recommendations that were on here?
And that little accessory building or shed that's in the northeast corner, that's going away as well.
Does anyone here want to speak for or against this
No.
light crowd
He's our,
today?
he's our next applicant.
I agree with the recommendations, and if there's no other comments, I propose to make a motion to approve it with the following conditions that staff recommended.
A second.
Okay, Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger,
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye. All right,
Yeah, he has done a nice infill.
Yeah.
all right. Number 3, the final item on our agenda, application for conditional use CU 03-2025, submitted by Bob Weinberg to convert a 4-car garage into a duplex behind 501 and 503 West Lincoln Street. CPC staff comments.
Gotta zoom in. Okay, so this site is located on the west side of Hurd Avenue. Hurd Avenue is this 16-foot right-of-way here, just south of 501 and 503 West Lincoln Street. It is zoned R3 small lot residential, and it's in a mix. This is kind of a mixture of R3 small lot residential, and there are some duplexes in the area. It is not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the city of Findlay land use map designates the property as small lot residential. The site is currently one parcel, so 501 and 503, this is all one parcel currently. The 4-car garage was built in 1976 with the intent of a residential unit above the garage. In 1992, the owner received a variance for the property to have this reduced setback for the rear yard and to allow for the residential use above the garage. Staff analysis, the applicant has indicated that they would like to split the parcel so that the garage can be on its own parcel and then convert it into a duplex. The site plan sheet shows that they would install an additional 4 parking spaces on 501 and 503 West Lincoln Street to accommodate the loss of parking. I can zoom in just a smidge more here. So the parking, there would be 3 spots in the back here and then 1 spot on the side along the building. The garage will be converted into living space, so they have provided 4 off-street parking spaces in front of the building. The code, however, prohibits parking in the required front yard, so they would need to request a variance for that parking. While the site is small, the building does meet the standards for a standalone lot. The lot size for R3 is 3,500 square feet, which the new lot just meets it at 3,556. The roof structure size is under the lot coverage of 50%. It's at around 32%. With the variance from 1992, they've taken care of the issues with the setbacks, and the minimum floor area for a 2-story unit is 1,000 square feet, and they are just above it at 1,150 square feet. Site, however, would require the variance to be approved since parking is not permitted in that required front yard. Since the parcel is now fronting onto Hurd with that split, it would just need that variance for that parking in the front. So staff recommends approval of the application for CU-03-2025 submitted by Bob Weinberg to convert a 4-car garage into a duplex behind 501 and 503 West Lincoln Street with the following condition. Receive the variance for the parking in the required front yard.
And
Sorry, remind me, what was the variance from 92?
So the setback.
Setback from there.
Yeah.
engineering,
Just need permits prior to construction, curb cuts and stuff.
fire prevention.
No comment.
Okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am fine.
Good. If you mind, just for the record, if you'd introduce yourself and just make sure the red light's on.
The
And
red light is on.
Perfect.
I'm Bob Weinberg, Robert Weinberg, and I'm the owner of 501, 503. I've owned it now for since 19. The owner before that had it probably in 90, and 92 is probably the one that was looking at the setback. When I purchased it, the garage was in my intent also to turn it into a living space. And ironically, when it was built almost 40 years ago, that person did do some work in the upstairs of that garage by wiring it, has a dividing wall for bedroom separation, that type of thing. Actually had it insulated and some drywall put up. That wouldn't be the intent going forward, because what we can do is actually split that garage and get 2 units in there, which is what the city needs, and it's also beneficial to me to do that. So that's the intent.
Do you currently have water and sewer in there?
Yes, ironically, for some reason, it was well planned, I guess, back in '76 when it was built. There is a sewer line coming in from Lincoln. It is on the west side in between 501, 503 and the next unit, and it goes all the way to the garage. Last summer, I did have Robin Kirchner put in a water line from, and that meter, the meter currently for 501, 503 is in that easement area right off of Lincoln Street. And we put a water line all the way to the garage at that time. That's been 3 years in the making, getting Robin to come over and do that. So I haven't had any sense of urgency to do the remodel there, refurbish, but have decided to go ahead and do it. So we put the water line in. At that time, we put one water line in with the idea we were just going to put one unit up on top. And since then, we've decided to do the 2-unit. But I think that I'll just keep the one water line and pay for that water myself rather than trying to split it, or putting in another expense of putting in another water line doesn't make a lot of sense to me at this time.
So your personal parking would be those 3 new spots that are going to be created just north of the new.
Yeah,
property
so
line.
splitting the lot, we have to provide new parking then for 501, 503. Currently, those folks are in the garage.
Okay.
So we're going to move them out of the garage and put them into those 3 spaces in the backyard, and then the one beside the unit. There is a front sidewalk leading from Lincoln up to the front door that would be extended. That sidewalk would be extended to that parking place that runs parallel with the structure. And the back sidewalk is there currently. We would just make sure that that stays there and they have access from the house to from both facilities. So the 501 is the downstairs apartment, and its back entrance is that sidewalk, and then the upstairs is actually that entrance and exit to that building is on the west side. It's an outside stairway, so its sidewalks lead around the building into that area also.
I like it. I think it's a neat project, and it's been a long time in the making. It sounds like they had some foresight in it. Just for conversation, I'm not necessarily opposed to how the parking's laid out, as he tries to make us all dizzy. Where you actually put the proposed parking for the existing in the grass there in the yard,
Yes.
would it make sense to, the other one was more, it was clear, include parking for this proposed duplex next to it, and then you don't need the variance actually for parking in front of the new duplex?
So Matt and I kind of did some measurements, and he could only really get like 2 alongside the side of the building,
Okay.
To meet the code.
I'm not opposed to it. I just wanted, you suggested on the other, but I wasn't sure if it would fit, so that answers the question. Okay.
The one thing me and Jacob took a look at yesterday was it's a one-way road right there with Hurd, and possibly doing a 45-degree parking angle may be a little bit more beneficial just for Hurd Avenue's purposes. Those are real narrow on there for some reason. Just a thought. But we'll still seek a variance for the parking back there.
Okay, and you're proposing to split the lot?
Yes.
Legally split it, okay. And the purpose of that is because we couldn't add those on if it was all the same lot then,
Yeah.
right?
So it's currently it's a duplex for the main building, and so to make this a duplex, it would need to be on its own parcel.
Okay.
And we worked with Bob to make sure that it met all the requirements for R3 with the lot size and everything else. So it's a
Okay.
good R3 lot.
So Google sometimes makes things look a little wonky, but that angle looks like small cars only, unless I'm trying to find the actual width of that parking.
So a 9-foot by 18-foot parking spaces.
And that's,
It's 20 feet from the
Okay.
Hurd Avenue, 20 and some change.
okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tight.
And obviously the problem is you're parking in front of your entrance door too, so
Correct.
that's, I guess that's for the tenants to work around that, huh?
And that's where that 45-degree angle
Yeah.
parking
Might
should
work
shrink
better.
it in a little bit.
On a
What is the dimension from the Third Avenue all the way to the building itself?
20,
20.17.
20.1.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to open a front door if the car's parked there.
What's the standard size of a car?
Our parking standards are 9 by 18 for the parking space, but typically you have 8-foot wide parking spaces in other jurisdictions. I think it's 8 by a little under 8 by 18 maybe. I mean, not 8 by 16, 8 by 15 is the standard car in width and length. Truck won't fit.
So my GMC 1500 fits in there, but it would be tight for a front door.
Yeah.
However, the location of the front door also makes a difference too, as where it's located as far as those 4 parking places are concerned. And right now, there are 4, what you're looking at, do you have the before picture?
The garages?
before?
Yeah, so what would be happening is, the first level is cement block. So those 4 garage doors would be blocked in, obviously, taking it. If this makes sense, the downstairs 4 garage doors are not symmetrical with the width of the building, but
Right.
the upstairs is. So that upstairs window in the center is gonna be removed. But because the garage doors are that way, and I don't want to jeopardize that cement block, where those doors are located and where the parking lots are, the angle being able to open and close those doors still works pretty good. But if my Chevy pickup truck is sitting on the south side door, sitting in front of that, yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a tight spot to get the groceries in. So we're gonna have to do something with that.
You have to screen your tenants, huh?
Part of the application. What car do you drive?
Yes, and, yeah, so right now we have those 2 units that are sharing that, and one person, the 5013 resident, actually rents 2 garage spaces from me in there. The one upstairs only has the little blue car you saw in the one picture, and the other one has a 1970s El Camino sitting undercover in there. And that gentleman hasn't heard that he's gonna have to remove that yet. He's gonna be upset when I tell him that, but he's been a long-term resident there, apparently, for many years with his El Camino.
I guess for discussion amongst the board, I mean, certainly there's quite a few duplexes, triplexes in the area. I mean,
Right.
that fits well, but those are all done on the larger lot. So this is gonna be splitting a lot that's got now 2 duplexes on it. Any concern about you're shoving too much into too small of a space? Does that fit with what the other neighbors are doing? Certainly there's a lot of accessory buildings, but if I'm not mistaken, all the rest of those accessory buildings are garages. They're not, they might have a little space on it, but it's for the primary use of the main building, not a separate duplex.
So,
So
again,
not necessarily opposed to this, I just want to bring that up as a discussion as a potential concern.
I thought about that too, but my internal opposition to this is it's an existing building. We're not changing the square footage.
Right.
It's existing, so it's more of the use of the building.
Exactly.
So that's where I was leaning, I'm like, okay, it fits the neighborhood because it's already in the neighborhood.
No argument there. It's in the neighborhood as a garage, and I'm sure when they got the variance for it, it got it as a garage, not
Right.
as a duplex. And all the rest of those buildings, and correct me if I'm wrong, but all the rest of the accessory buildings are garages. They're not.
The garages,
duplexes.
most of them aren't used. The one on the right-hand side, or
Yeah.
would be the east side, is a storage, from what I know. They don't park in it.
You can see
Don't work in it.
Yeah, and from time to time, there can be more traffic parked there also.
Sure.
It just depends. Anything else up and down the Herd Alley doesn't seem to be used much, especially to the west. I'm not that familiar with the east, but there's not that many buildings. But to the west on that alley, not Hurd, but on the one that we're seeing, yeah, there, those garages aren't used at all currently. Doesn't mean they couldn't be, but there are, yeah, garages there.
So back to the comment that you have about 91. So it was built as a house in that time period. All the documentation says living area above. But back in the day, they allowed 2 houses on one lot in the old zoning code back in the 90s. So it wasn't built just as a garage. It was built as a dwelling. It's just never been established.
But Eric, you say that it meets the zoning lot coverage and so forth?
Yeah, we made sure that it was below the 50%, and we made sure that it was 3,500 square feet, which is the minimum requirement for the R3 district.
Okay.
The only thing it didn't meet was that setback, which it got the variance for back in the 90s.
Anything else?
No. I think I'd probably, I agree with you, Kerry, that it is tight, but it is there. To develop that probably seems reasonable to do. I'd make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that. And I see there's no one else in the audience.
Literally no
I just want to make sure
Oh,
I have to,
motion to approve with the variance, yeah, with the conditions.
variance.
the parking variance.
Yeah.
I'll, again, second that. So, Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley.
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Nothing else on the agenda. We're adjourned. Thank you.
47 minutes.
No, yeah.
Efficiently run.
Went over the weekend.
That was from a weekend? Yeah. This tan was from a weekend. That's amazing.
Yeah.